So we'll try and find out. As you can see there, we do have Slee. I think she is connected. Slee, I've tried to summarize for the viewer exactly what's been happening there, but you are at a better position to be able to do that for us. What's going on?
Chaos essentially has erupted, Masiko. You're going to have to forgive me. I have to move out of shot because it's a bit tense right now and it's a bit dangerous because we've got rocks being thrown and I can't even explain exactly when all of this happened because, I mean, they were peacefully singing at one point just after 1 o'clock when we spoke. It seemed like they were going to disperse and reconvene later on because you'd remember the students are joined now by workers of the university Nahau. And all of a sudden, chaos erupted with a group of students and workers trying to storm the Great Hall. They were first using bottles with water to basically antagonize the security that's standing outside of the hall. And now it's descended into rocks being thrown at security officials. The security officials have been also trying to pepper spray those who are trying to storm the Great Hall. And at this stage, it's just a continuous back and forth between protesting students and workers as well as security officials. I have lost my line to you, but you can see from the visuals in front of you that it's still quite a very dangerous and chaotic situation where rocks are being thrown back and forth. The rocks that are being thrown by students towards the security officials are also being thrown back at students as well. We do have some leaders from the student organizations trying to calm the situation down, trying to get students to just for a moment listen and try to just get them to understand that at this point they need to calm down because at this point people will get hurt with these rocks that are being hurled back and forth. So you can see students, they've got their hands up in a sign, I guess, to say they're coming peacefully towards security officials, that they don't mean them any harm. But you can see from the visuals in front of you, Masuko, that at this point the protest has descended into chaos. And in fact, I can actually see a drone that's flying over the Great Hall and in front of the students. I think it may be from law enforcement monitoring the situation, but it does seem as though at this point that the protest action has certainly took a turn for the worse.
Right, I understand that we've lost our connection to Silindelo Masikane. While the team tries to reconnect her, I'll, try and we'll try and keep to the visuals that you're seeing there. Like I was explaining to you, security guards, those are the men wearing the orange reflector jackets. They were actually basically just standing around the glass doors at Great Hall to try and make sure that the students don't gain entry into Great Hall, because when they did gain entry into the institution itself, they went straight to Great Hall and started to try and break the glass doors there. So now you're seeing some of the student leaders, including those from the ANC, for instance, those from the EFF as well, trying to negotiate with security guards. But as you heard from a senior reporter, Silindelo Masikane, at some point out of nowhere, she says rocks were starting to fly around, and she says it was students throwing rocks at security guards and then security guards also retaliating and throwing rocks back at the students. So as you can see there, some of the students are trying to negotiate with the security guards. Some of them seem to be very aggressive towards the security guards as they try to find an amicable solution to this, especially after being able to gain entry into the institution when in fact the institution had said security should keep them outside. We understand that classes have been disrupted at Wits University, so the academic year has been disrupted for most part of this week. But of course the protest started to intensify since Wednesday evening when students began to spend the night at libraries and lecture halls, etc., trying to communicate with university management that they have nowhere else to go because they don't have either the accommodation that they need or the money for the accommodation that they need. So I don't know. I can hear Silindelo trying to speak to us. I don't know if she's connected. Slee, confirm if you can hear us in Johannesburg. All right, Slee, I can see there that they're trying to negotiate, but some of the students look very aggressive. Is there an amicable solution going to be found there? I thought they were just trying to gather around Great Hall peacefully.
Hey, guys. Masiko, you can see that at this point we have some of the leaders of the protest action trying to engage with security officials, telling them that, you know, how they're responding. They don't appreciate the manner in which they are responding to the protest action. I want to move towards the back of where security officials are, and you can actually see blood on the floor. It does seem as though someone has certainly been hurt here, and at this point it's unclear as to who it may be. Is it a security official? Is it somebody who was protesting? But I told you that earlier on we saw a back and forth between students, students as well as security officials, where they have just been hurling not only rocks towards security officials, but also they were hurling water bottles at them. This has obviously antagonized the situation, and we saw security officials then retaliating with pepper spray towards the protesting students as well as the workers who are here in solidarity. So at this point, a very tense situation, a very dangerous situation, and it does seem as though there is an effort to try and calm the situation down. However, it certainly descended into chaos, a picture that we're not unfamiliar with when it comes to these student protests from as far back as 2015. This has always been somewhat of the end result, or one of the results of these of the protest action, where we've got a violent situation transpiring, where security officials as well as students are then engaged in a back and forth situation. We've got these security officials who are manning the Great Hall. This is where registration usually takes place for the university, and of course, just to remind our viewers as to why this is taking place, it is the result, of course, of what students have described as financial exclusion, and the fact that they believe the university is not coming to the party, is not meeting them with finding a solution for at least 4,000 students who at this point remain unregistered due to the fact that they have either historical debt and therefore or cannot in fact afford the registration fees. In order to be able to register here at Wits University, you would need at least 10,000 rand, and in order to be able to register despite historical debt, you would have to owe the university less than 10,000 rand. And what the students are saying at this point is that this is just simply, it's not sustainable, and there needs to be a way forward in terms of addressing the situation. I want to try and grab one of the student leaders. Just tell me exactly how come this has now descended into chaos.
It's indeed into chaos, because what we have been saying is to say that students are currently unarmed. These people are armed. These people are protected. When they throw a stone to a student, it lands on the head. What happens? When we throw a stone, what happens? They have a shield. So by default, the situation is going to escalate, my sister. It's going to escalate. And we're not going to tolerate being mishandled by people who don't even know who they are. We don't even know where they come from. They don't even have IDs, for crying out loud. So you hear a student, that person cannot be accounted for.
Do we know who is bleeding?
We have a worker who was hit and they are bleeding now. We have a couple of students that are currently bleeding. Just check if any of them are bleeding now.
None of them.
None of them are bleeding. None.
There is a point. Can you see all of their name tags? They don't have any
no
name tags. Before they used to turn them around, so now they don't even wear them, so we don't even know their names. So it's complete zero accountability from the private security that the university is spending an insane amount of money to keep on campus and militarize
And you have a John Spears who's protecting these people, who's part of campus security, who's supposed to be protecting our students, but instead he's protecting these people. He's protecting these people.
All right, just some of the sentiments here, Masego, in terms of why we're seeing the visuals that we're seeing unfolding right now at Wits University. There is a standoff between security officials hired by the university to man the Great Hall. Just behind it is Solomon Mahlangu House, which is where registration takes place for students. And as you've heard from some of the leaders here, the fact that they have security officials who are not wearing name tags and badges where they can be identified is problematic to the students. They believe that security officials have an advantage because they are armed and have shields, whereas students themselves don't have the very same protection at this point. So these are live visuals coming to you, Masego, from Wits University. Earlier on, we were outside on the streets of Bromfontein, and at some point we had an issue coming into the university, but it does seem as though students, through a coordinated effort, were able to come into the university with the help of some of the workers who are in support and who are in solidarity with the students. They've come out to say that they've applied for a strike certificate, that is Nahawu in particular, saying that they want to join the protest action from students, saying that they themselves are fighting for at least 10% of a salary increase for the workers of the university. I also want to bring in another one of the student leaders here from the student command. Perhaps maybe just talk to me as to why we are in the situation where we've got what seems like workers who are bleeding, students who are bleeding, and a standoff between security as well as those who are protesting.
What you have here, my sisters, you can see, is an institution that resorts to violence every time there is a solution. They have funds, they have billions and billions, they are funded by government, but they don't want to give us. As a result, these workers that are here, they're getting paid more than 150 every day. 150 can make sure that more than 3 or 4 students are registered. But what does Zablon do? Zablon chooses to bring these guns here to hit us with stones. We have to retaliate. The land of march is simple. No retreat, no surrender. If they are doing their job, we are doing our job. Our job is to make sure students are registered. We are not retreating from the ground.